hey, this time of the year is also NFL Combine, the Shrine Bowl, the East West, all those things have happened. The pro days are coming up, and the Combine is here. We're going to see a number of names, number of great players that have played throughout collegiately. But I think the main point we need to focus on right here, Tina, is there's going to be a couple of prominent names that will not be there. Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels will not throw at the Combine, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is expected to miss the Combine as well. On one side of this, Tina, I completely understand everything that we've needed to see from especially these two quarterbacks. Everybody has already seen. If a song says, if you don't know me by now, then you'll never know me. And I think that we can place that on the two of these guys. Jaden Daniels, 40 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, along with 10 more rushing touchdowns. He's an elite player. His ceiling is super high. Last year's Heisman Trophy winner. And then the 2022 Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams. He's been the number 1 pick since this entire year. It's back to last year, so everybody knows what they've seen from him. The most interesting one that Tina, I actually like to get your opinion on, Marvin Harrison Jr. expected to miss the Combine. He's far and away the best wide receiver, and in fact one of the best players, and we know the pedigree. His father was great under playing with Peyton Manning all those years. But is this going to hurt him not being at the Combine?
Well, it's also not going to be there for their pro day too.
Right.
So even Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels doing this, I think it's going to affect them when it comes time for drafting, because the pros want to see how you handle hard situations, such as your number 1 and your number 2 are out of the game, and you need a third that you don't even practice with. So they're going to want to see that. So, I mean, I get exactly why they're doing it. They don't want to do anything at that time that could affect their draft capital.
Right.
But everybody kind of already knows what their weak points are. And if you don't do this, you only throw at your pro day, which is only showing your best. It's not showing you at an adverse position. Drake May, Nix, Bo Nix, Penix, McCarthy, those guys could jump in front of you if you, because there's a lot of teams out there that need this possible franchise quarterback. But are you going to put money into somebody that's literally saying, I won't throw at the Combine?
Right. And I think that's something that we might all look at, or the players might look at, is, oh, this is just an extra thing. And some of these guys don't feel like they do need it. But I think it says something else. These are part of the events that you have to do for the NFL. And once you get to the league, there are a number of events that you have to go to outside of just practice and stuff, but a number of other team events and media events that you have to go to. And if you're not doing something like this, and I get it, I mean, let's be honest. Like I've said, Caleb Williams, this entire year, if he did not play a snap, would always have been regarded as the number 1 quarterback and potentially the number 1 pick coming out. That's a detriment to him. He had a decent season. Let's not get it twisted. He had 30 touchdowns, but I do need to say that he had 21 touchdowns in 5 games where it's less than subpar talent. It was pretty bad, but he was able to dominate in those type of games. So that's going to be great. But like you said, these two guys, I really think, and we won't see that in a combine or in a pro day fashion, but I want to see, can they go and throw with anybody? Can they, it doesn't have to be just their guy and their coaches and their situation. Can they deal with adverse situations that the pro day and the NFL combine might not show out? But I think you being there, being a part of a team, everybody there is an individual trying to make something of themselves. And for you to kind of put yourself above that, I get it, maybe in a sense where maybe you don't want to get injured, but at the same time, you can get injured anywhere, man. This is something I think you just need to do. That's my opinion, but that's where I stand.
Yeah, I readily, if I just pulled this up because I had to look at it. So Caleb Williams, when he beat up on those like bottom feeder teams, when he was winning those 5 games and everything, their combined record for those teams was 19-42.
Right.
And
Right.
see, this is why I think this is a bad decision for him.
Right.
And it's a bad decision for Jaden for another reason I'll get into. But the reason for Caleb is that you recognize you had a problem, that your team had a problem this year. Now, granted, the defense for USC wasn't that good this
Yeah.
year. Okay. So he was coming from behind all the time. So I get that. But when you are only able to beat the bottom of the barrel, which we should have another discussion on how all these games are decided, because that in and of itself is an amazing thing what they do in
Very true.
college ball.
Oh yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
and so him just saying, I'm not gonna throw in a situation where I will be uncomfortable, that I can act that person will catch my balls. My
Mhm.
thing is, you know what's going to happen is if you throw it 30 yards and the guy doesn't catch it or he fumbles it or whatever, it's not going to reflect on Caleb. It's
It
going to
is.
reflect on that wide receiver,
Right. Right.
because there's 2 people in that situation that need to prove to the scouts that they should be drafted. It's not just, oh, I'm the number 1 possible quarterback. It's, oh, I'm number 45 in wide receivers and I'm trying to make it on a team.
And that's the other side to it. And in fact, that
Yeah.
him not going through those motions and going through those pro days might be taking attention away from this random wide receiver that's trying to make a name for himself, that does not have that notoriety, doesn't have that attention that Caleb has on him. So I completely agree with that. Now, in Jaden Daniels' situation, I think is much different. Obviously, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., both these guys elite wide receivers that will be at the combine, so we'll see them in action. But I mean, that's another situation where you're looking at the 2 of them and you're like, yes, these are top 10, top 15, top 20 picks that could potentially move up, maybe not to Marvin Harrison levels, but still it's just more beneficial, in my opinion, to go through with this. Even if it seems like going through with the motions, it's still more beneficial to do it, because there's things that I think you can help, and it's also a leadership thing. I think you showing up just for the optics alone is a huge deal. And sometimes, I mean, going into these type of situations, yeah, you might not have to. Maybe your agent, or even if you don't have an agent, maybe you're just saying, oh, I don't want to. Sometimes being there, being accountable, that's kind of something that people need to see. So
yeah. And one of the things I also think that this goes to too is, and it's something in the video that you and I both watched from Brandon Perna. He pointed out that Caleb and Jaden have had running wide receivers that they've been throwing to that are very, very good, and they've been able to dominate that way. Well, what happens if they get picked up by a team like the Patriots that they're talking about for Jaden? They don't have a wide receiver core that is as good. I mean, the wide receiver core they had wouldn't even make it onto LSU's team.
Yes, they would be second and
So,
third string easily.
right.
Yeah.
So if you're not throwing to somebody you don't know, or you are only going to throw to your guys, which are in the top 10 wide receivers, you're showing that team you're only comfortable with your guys. What's going to happen if we bring you in and you cannot create a connection, like we're going to talk like with Russell and those guys? If you can't create that connection, you're done. You're going to be out, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
So
And
that's the thing that I look at. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
And that's something we're going to have to look at.
They're going to be, all these guys that are in the top 5 quarterbacks are going to be going to teams that are 500 or less.
Struggling.
They're struggling. No one's going to get on, no one's going to get on like the Packers, where we all know they pretty much create quarterbacks of the future. So you're not going to get that. You're going to get not what you're used to using. So I just think it's a bad decision for both of them. But I understand the reasoning why.
Which is why I think Drake May will be the best of those three because he can deal with those situations, but I'm biased.